Hi, friends and neighbors, and everybody in YouTube land, wherever you're tuning in from. My name is Mitch Goddard, co-founder and principal of the 77 Group, and I welcome you to episode 20. Episode 20 of our long-running and hopefully long-running series where my partner Frank Leone and I take each week to walk you through different topics on effective communication and effective leadership skills, hoping that you get a little something out of it that you can use in your personal and professional lives. And today we're talking leadership, and I'll be sharing some stories with you today. And I'll tell you, I'm actually old enough to remember what was once called the golden age of television. All right. And I don't know what was so golden about it. I remember sitting on the floor with my brother Rick, staring up at a little like 10-inch Bell and Howell black and white television with the grainy static screen. And my parents would have us sit on the floor close to the television. I think we were their early remote control because my dad would sit back and go, "Son, channel 4," and we'd hop up and turn the channel. And then it was like, we had to hit the rabbit ears to make sure that everything looked good on the screen. And then when my dad said, "Okay, right there," then we'd sit back down and watch our TV program. But when it comes to leadership, I bring that up because I remember when I was a kid, I would, pay close attention to the presidents when they were coming on television, and really studying these presidents. I go, here, gosh, these are the leaders of the free world. And, I'm this little dopey kid watching them on TV, usually forced to watch them initially until I started taking some interest in it. And, from Eisenhower to present day, I've always just taken a hard, or at least a very critical look at our presidents, at our nation's leaders. What is it about them that makes them, number one, electable? Number two, these people, I can trust what they're saying. How are they dressed? How do they speak? Their mannerisms, the things that are either going to make them endearing and embraceable, appearing presidential, whatever that means, or not. And that's germane to today's topic, because one of the undeniable truths that come with being a leader is that you are always under a microscope. And with that, we will talk today about why it's important for leaders to be the role model. So stay tuned for that. And I'd like to kick it back over to my friend and colleague, Frank Leone, for an overview.
Well, hi, everybody, and my pleasure, as always, to be part of this. And even though Mitch is going to be the main focus of today's presentation, that said, a reminder that we're really doing this primarily for one reason. We are hoping to share 2 lifetimes worth of experience with as many people as possible, basically to give back, basically to leave something behind. And the same thing with the 2 books, my book that's already out, Mitch's, which will be out relatively soon. Much the same thing. My basic purpose, our basic purpose in writing these books is to leave something behind. One of the wonderful things about writing books or putting something on YouTube or even teaching people in any capacity is you never know when that message is going to end. That it can, you can, pay it forward for centuries possibly. So that's really what we're trying to do. A reminder that each YouTube episode represents 1 chapter of one of our books. And Mitch's book is entitled 77 Principles, Tips, and Takeaways for Exceptional Leaders. And we anticipate that being out in the early fall sometime. And my book is 77 Ways to Perfect Your Communication Skills, Enhancing Your Personal and Professional Relationships. That's been out for a while. Being very well received, I'm flattered to say. and it is available on Amazon in 4 different formats: hardcover, softcover, audiobook, and ebook. And it is also available through our website. And Mitch's book will be available in like manner as well. A reminder again that we encourage your questions, and we give an award every week to the question of the week. We announce who that question is from, and we respond to the question in some depth, as Mitch will do later, I presume. And we, as a reward, or not reward, award, I guess is the word I'm looking for, we'll speak to that person by phone and talk over anything about leadership or communication they would like to. And the person just needs to contact us at our email addresses. Mitch is mitch@77grp.com. And I am Frank at 77grp.com. And then finally, and not unimportantly, if you would be kind enough to like us after or during the presentation, and to subscribe if you haven't already, that would be very, very useful for us, and we appreciate it. We take great pride in our subscription base, which last I looked was over 400, and we're just startup guys here, so we're very pleased by that as well. So that is it. Now we turn it back to Mitch for his presentation on episode number 20. Mitch?
Hey, thanks, Frank. And I'll get right to it today. But first, I want to just say thanks to our subscribers. Really am thrilled and amazed that very quietly we've reached out and attracted over 400 of you that subscribe to us and view us on a regular basis. So thank you for that. And now to today's topic, be the role model. Okay, leaders, so what does that really mean? Because understand this, if you're in leadership, you're just going to get scrutinized. The people that you're responsible for, your peers, your supervisors and senior leadership, the contractors and stakeholders and other collaborators that you work with, they're watching your every move, every raised eyebrow, every smirk, everything you say, how you say it, the way you dress, the way you walk, whatever it is, you are really under the glare of everyone's attention, which is what you signed up for when you first said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take this leadership role. So just know that, in short, the whole package that is you is constantly being evaluated, and eventually, over time, it's going to be imitated, whether good or bad. People that you are leading are going to see you as the example, you as the role model, and copy the things that you're doing. So be aware of that. All right, so what does that mean? It means a number of things, among them that as you come away with the knowledge that everybody's looking at you, take advantage of that. Use that and leverage that by presenting yourself, showing character, showing good behaviors and habits that you want reflected throughout the culture you're trying to build at work. And Frank, if you're ready, I'll launch into tip number 1.
I want to hear tip number 1.
All right. So first, like I just said, examine your conduct. Ask yourself, what am I putting out there? Does it align with what it is I want to promote throughout the organization or throughout the group, or to that one person that I have that I'm answerable for or I'm influencing? How does what you put out there in your conduct and your behaviors, how does that reflect on the mission statement that's on the wall here, or the culture that you're trying to build amongst your team, and so on? These behaviors, like I said before, will eventually be returned to you in some measure, and they will end up becoming what you're known for. throughout not only your personal and professional career, but whatever legacy, good or bad, you leave behind. So examine your conduct, stand up straight, get it right, because people are watching.
Okay, that's very good. How about tip number two, Mitch? Actually, before I even ask you that, I want to ask you a question.
Sure, go right ahead.
You know, when you just were talking about leadership, it was essentially in the context of being the leader of other people, of some sort of team or some sort of group. And I don't know how you will answer this question, but question that I would have is not leadership also applicable to how you carry yourself 24/7 and the kind of role model you are, and just to exude leadership by being an appropriate role model, and that almost every leadership tip that you talk about involves not only being the head of teams, but even if you aren't a head of a team, you can still be a real leader. So that's sort of it's almost like you know, a self-fulfilling prophecy. But what is your thought on that?
Well, and if I understand the question, and I think I do, whether you are standing in front of the team you're leading, or if you are expressing opinions as a thought leader, as you go anywhere, you go to the store, you're traveling, whatever it is, it's a 24/7 commitment. And earlier in our series, I talk about examining your commitment to lead, because it is an around the clock, intentional track of behavior that you want to present. For instance, I know that anytime I go into town or I leave the house, period, for me, because a lot of people that I work with live in my town, when I'm out and about, I want to make sure that I present well, that I am the same guy they see at work, or they might see at church, as I am when I'm out buying a loaf of bread. And it's important that as a leader, consistency becomes a part of your the DNA that you present of yourself every day. So it's important, because if you degrade from that in any way, someone somewhere is going to spot that and go, oh, then this guy is not genuine. He might be a little bit of a phony, or at least in this moment, and that could degrade your credibility as a leader. So live it, present it, make it a part of who you are wherever you go, and people will look at you as, hey, this guy is quality, he's consistent, he's genuine, and I don't mind getting behind him and following where he leads.
Okay, exactly. I mean, that would be my thought, and well stated. Got a tip number two?
I do, actually, and that is great, because it leads right in to tip number two: consistently demonstrate the standard. So just like I pointed out, anytime you let the standard that you seek to model slip or degrade or not, meet that standard, then you're gonna start to lose your audience little by little, bit by bit. And one thing in leadership, whether you are a parent leading your children, you are a coach leading a little league team, or you are a corporate giant, if you are not consistent, then the people you're leading, again, your kids to a large corporation, are going to always kind of second guess you. Well, which version of dad or which version of the boss am I getting today? But if you're consistent, that not only sends that message that this is how we do things here, and this is the model that I expect for everybody here to abide by, then they know what they're getting every day, and it elevates everyone's game. It makes life at home and in the workplace anywhere you go, much more predictable, and it sends a message that this is how we do things. There is no variance. There is no degrading. Keep walking with me, and we'll get to where we're going.
Okay, you got a third tip.
I do. So praise the right behavior, and right in this case means the behavior that is representative of the culture and the character of your company, your group, organization, whatever it is. So among those characteristics that you want to be sure that you praise, point out, and go ahead and make a little bit of a big deal about is honor, integrity, honesty, service-mindedness, the types of things that that you seek to model and expect from others, being on time for meetings, meeting your deadlines, and just strict character issues that become part of the culture in time. When these value-based behaviors are repeated and repeated, they become the expectation throughout the organization. They become woven into the cultural DNA again, and they begin to cascade throughout the organization, and then it just becomes second nature. No one questions it. No one has to think twice. It's just what we're known for.
Okay, fair enough. Number 4.
So number 4, reflect back on the role models, or the tip here is reflect back on your role models and think about those that helped you shape your style, your professionalism, your leadership abilities, the values and standards that you've adopted to become who you are, to become what you're known for. And to maintain those standards. So reflect back on those. Like, for instance, I mentioned presidents at the beginning of this episode. From some, I definitely go, wow, I really like the way he gave that speech or that talk, his timing. He really captured my attention. That's a good way to do that. Or I liked this president's very stern or strong leadership in any given issue. By the same token, there were some who's like, I'm never doing that, or that's a terrible characteristic, or it doesn't resonate with me and probably most of the voting public. So Mitch, avoid that one. Take a note. So think back on the personal role models that help shape who you are. As I write in the book, for me, my dad stands front and center in a big way on that one.
Okay, and finally, number 5.
Okay, so finally, number 5, and this is important. Never forget, and never forget not only the influence that you can have on people and the power of that influence, but also never abuse that power. So never forget your place, your role. You want to be a leader that draws people to you, that brings that lean in where they want to draw closer to you and really absorb what it is you're presenting, what you're saying, your style, whatever it might be. Always bear that in mind. Again, you're on display, you're under a microscope, you're going to fall under the scrutiny of, it's a 360 world you live in as a leader. And not only 360, but also up and down. It's a vertical world you live in, that everyone is looking at you, not only for how you go about things, how you make decisions, but oftentimes they're looking for you for some measure of comfort, safety, reassurance, encouragement, whatever it might be. So never lose sight of that. And again, never abuse the power you have to influence people. Keep it on point, keep it righteous, keep it in tune with the values of yourself and the organization, and chances are people will be drawn to you and they will consider you an exceptional leader.
Mitch, I have a question going back to your tip number 4. Tip number 4 was reflect on your role models.
Mhm.
And I think it would be, I would find it interesting at least to hear you provide an example of a role model and what you learned from that role model, staying away from political figures, because one could presume that, we have a gamut of opinions out there.
Right?
But just think of a role model that's, it doesn't have to be a person in the public eye, but a role model that you've learned something from and what you learned from them.
God, I'll tell you, a bunch of them come to mind, but one that initially jumped out as you were forming your question is a gentleman actually lives in Santa Barbara, so or at least the last I checked. And I worked with this gentleman. He was senior to me, and every day he brought a measure of energy, a measure of integrity, meaning strong work ethic, and willingness to do whatever it takes to be great at what he was doing. And the thing that I really recall about him was his fun spirit and sense of humor. And I write about this, and we'll be talking about it in a future episode. Is bring a sense of humor to work, and the difference that can make in taking a delicate situation and making it manageable, or to allow a delicate situation consume you and the entire organization. But this gentleman, his first name is Terry. I'll save his last name, but he was great every single day. He came in skipping, skipping his step, had great spirit, great energy, great work ethic, so many good components of solid leadership he brought to the workplace every day. And he had a great, happy spirit, a wonderful, funny sense of humor, kept everybody in the room in good spirits, and we produced because we loved him as our leader.
Okay, very good answer. I think people will enjoy that. A couple comments before we head back to you for your response to the question of the week. Do you have one, by the way?
I do, actually, a good one too.
Okay, well, we'll be getting to that in a moment, as well as your thought for the week. But I do want to make a couple final announcements. One is that next week's topic is going to be, for episode number 21, is going to be reflecting chapter 11 in my book, Probe When Appropriate. Probe When Appropriate. Very important topic. So I'll look forward to doing that next week. It'll be posted next Sunday night. So just a week after this is posted. Again, a reminder to subscribe, to comment and send questions, and to like us, please. And please continue to stick with us. We appreciate your being here. So let me toss it back to Mitch for his response to the question of the week.
Hey, get the phone. Okay. Hey, real quick, let's scroll through today's 5 leadership tips on why it's important to be the role model. Number 1, examine your conduct. Number 2, consistently demonstrate the standard that you expect from everybody else. So consistently demonstrate the standard. Number 3, praise the right behavior. Number 4, reflect back on your role models. And number 5, never forget where you came from and how you can influence others and why that's so powerful. And never abuse it either. All right. So going on to the question of the week. And good question. And it comes to us. Oh, and by the way, this was from episode 16. So about 4 weeks ago. Chapter 12 of my book, Get Comfortable Being Out in Front. And this came from Leonard Taylor from Vanceboro, North Carolina. And by the way, I've actually been to Vanceboro, North Carolina. Nice little town, a lot of nice folks there. didn't know anybody by the last name of Taylor, but Leonard Taylor asked the following question. Can you describe how thought leaders position themselves out in front? Okay. Well, whether you're physically out in front or not, Leonard, thought leaders put it out there. They put out or they put themselves out in front by expressing their opinions, by expressing their thoughts, by expressing their insights, and with that, they can lead people, they can motivate people, inspire people, and drive people to action. So they're still putting themselves out there. Maybe not physically out in front for everyone to see, but by, they might be blogging, they might be doing a podcast or a YouTube channel presentation like this one, but they're still putting out the stuff that manifests within them for consideration for wide consumption, influence, and possibly some call to action. So with that, Leonard, great question. Thanks for sending it. And with that, Frank, if you're ready, I'll move right into my final thought.
Well, let me set the table for it.
Okay.
Something Mitch and I decided right from the outset would be a nice little adjunct is each week one of us give a final personal thought about life. And it's Mitch's turn this week, so go for it.
All right, thanks, Frank. So my final thought, kind of keeping in theme again with today's topic, all of us can be models of integrity and influence others. We won't always have the privilege of knowing who's watching and how the character we put on display will have a positive or possibly a negative effect on the lives of the people we cross paths with. So again, being mindful of that, not necessarily because you're the person in charge, you're the leader, or those kinds of things, but just know that as we act, as we behave, our conduct somewhere may affect somebody. Could be just passing on the street, flashing a smile at somebody, whatever it might be a source of encouragement, and be mindful of that, because we never want to discourage. Truly, there might be, the 1.5% jerk factor that live among us might be that way, but most of us, by and large, are looking to have a positive effect on the people around us. So continue to be mindful of that, and know that, whether you're a leader or not, your conduct, what you model, the integrity that you put on display is likely getting recorded by somebody. So put your best foot forward, because it may matter to someone you'll never meet. Thanks, Frank.
Okay. Words and wisdom from a man that has much of it. And we appreciate, once again, Mitch's contribution, and look forward to seeing all of you in the coming weeks. So I want to thank you very, very much for joining us. And Mitch, want to say goodbye?
Thanks, Frank. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time.